KUNC and the NPR network, this is In the NOCO. I'm Erin O'Toole. A tiny menace is invading the river that supplies water to 40 million people in southwestern states.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife is now sounding the alarm, saying invasive mussels could be in the Colorado River.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife has found another body of water infested with zebra mussels, this time in Eagle County.
Zebra mussels are tiny freshwater shellfish. They're about the size of your thumbnail with a striped shell. Since the late 1980s, they've spread to 30 states across the country, including Colorado. Now, Colorado Parks and Wildlife says they've been found in the Colorado River near towns like Grand Junction and Glenwood Springs. Zebra mussels wreak havoc on water infrastructure and devastate ecosystems. And they are difficult, if not impossible, to eradicate from rivers. We wanted to learn more about why this species is so damaging and what Colorado Parks and Wildlife plans to do about them. I spoke with Robert Walters, who oversees the agency's aquatic nuisance species program. He explained how the zebra mussel spread.
So adult mussels attach themselves to solid surfaces, such as people's boats. But at the smaller life stage, what we refer to as a veliger, they can actually be transported around in standing water. So even small amounts of water on people's boats have the potential to spread these from location to location.
Wow. So if you have your boat on one lake, you take it out of the water, put it in at another lake, boom. Now, zebra mussel larvae, called veligers, these have been found in the Colorado River. Why are zebra mussels so darn hard to get rid of?
There's many reasons, but part of it is just that they are a very resilient species and they are extremely prolific reproducers. So if you attempt something like an eradication effort and you miss only a couple of these small mussels, they reproduce at extremely prolific rates.
So how do zebra mussels destroy the ecosystems they invade? Help me understand why they're so bad for other species.
Yeah, so from an ecological perspective, there's really two characteristics that we point to. First, a single female zebra mussel can produce up to 30,000 eggs in a single spawning event, and under the right conditions can spawn year-round with numbers going as high as 1 million offspring from a single individual.
Wow.
Each one of those zebra mussels can then filter water at a rate of 1 liter of water per mussel per day, which may sound like a good thing, but when they are filtering all of that water, they are filtering out, in many cases, the phytoplankton from the water column itself, which very often is a very important part of the aquatic food web, which can ultimately lead to impacts on our higher species, such as our native and sport fish.
And how well do they stick to surfaces like boat hulls?
So adult zebra mussels attach to solid surfaces with something called a byssal thread. I say a byssal thread is like a root or an anchor that they use to both chemically and mechanically bond themselves to the surfaces to which they are attached.
Wow.
When we try to remove these, we use high pressure spray at approximately 3,000 psi, and that doesn't even remove them all. It typically does take some manual scraping to actually remove them all from these solid surfaces.
How easy is it to spot and identify veligers, the zebra mussel larvae?
It is honestly extremely difficult. So zebra mussel veligers are microscopic. So in our detection process, our staff is essentially running a fine mesh net through the water body. We collect and condense all of the plankton, and it's nothing that you can see in the sample unless you actually put that underneath of a microscope, which is where you can actually see these veligers.
And I'm curious where we are in terms of zebra mussels and the Colorado River. Is the Colorado River officially infested?
We do not consider the Colorado River to be infested. Infested, in our language, means that we have a reproducing and recruiting population of mussels, including multiple life stages. At this point, we have found no evidence of adult mussels anywhere in the Colorado River. We have only found the veligers.
Okay, so larvae only at this point.
Correct.
We know that zebra mussels can clog the pipes that feed water from the Colorado River to users, like farmers. What might happen if these pipes get clogged with zebra mussels?
Yeah, so one of the most impactful problems associated with zebra mussels is that they can limit the potential for water to be moved through any sort of system, be that hydroelectric or for agricultural purposes. Essentially, what they are doing is when they start to attach with those byssal threads, they don't just attach to the solid surfaces. Once those have become completely covered, they will actually start to grow on top of each other. And as they do that, that limits the amount of water that can then move through these pipes that we all depend upon for things like our drinking water and agriculture that we also very much depend on here in Colorado.
In 2022 and in 2023, Parks and Wildlife drained Highline Lake near Grand Junction and treated it twice with a copper solution that's toxic to the mussels in attempts at trying to eradicate them. Those attempts failed. How surprised were you that it didn't work?
I would say disappointed is a better word that I would use to characterize that than surprised. It's very well known that eradicating zebra mussels is a very lofty goal that has very rarely been 100% successful. So while we were optimistic, we always knew that there was a chance that this would not be 100% successful, especially considering the size and the complexity of the reservoir out there at Highline Lake that we were trying to manage.
And we certainly can't drain the entire Colorado River and treat it this way. So what recourse does Colorado Parks and Wildlife have if the river becomes fully infested?
That's a pretty difficult question to answer. And, when we start to think about things like the Colorado River system, we have to consider all of the other species that are present there and the impact that any sort of action might have, not just on the zebra mussels, but also on everything else that lives out there in the Colorado River.
I have to say this zebra mussel problem sounds kind of hopeless. Is it just inevitable that they will move to other water bodies?
I maintain that it is not inevitable, and I say that that is pretty well evidenced by the fact that these things have been established in the United States since the late 1980s. And again, we have these couple known populations out there on the western slope, but we have been successful at stopping them from establishing elsewhere in the state for well over 15 years now. And because of many of these preventative efforts, routinely throughout the summer, we are catching boats that are found to be fouled with species such as zebra and quagga mussels. And by continuing to implement those preventative efforts, I feel that we do have a good chance of slowing, if not stopping, the continued spread of these species here in the state.
Robert Walters is the director of Colorado Parks and Wildlife's Aquatic Nuisance Program. He mentioned the best way for people to help prevent the spread of zebra mussels is to thoroughly clean and fully dry their boats and watercraft after visiting a lake or river. And if you happen to spot a zebra mussel, you can report it to CPW on their website or by phone. We'll include those details in our show notes and at kunc.org. That's it today for In the NOCO. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.